The single biggest domino that was going to have to fall in NFL free agency this go-round was Kirk Cousins. I think everybody acknowledges that. He was the biggest name quarterback out there that was realistically available for another team to sign. No offense when it comes to Drew Brees. Clearly, he's the bigger name quarterback. Did you really think, though, that he was going to leave the Saints? I don't think anybody realistically did. That's the reality. And you had to wonder where Kirk Cousins was going to go. And my ultimate thought was that he was going to end up in the NFC North with the Minnesota Vikings. They could offer him plenty of money, and they were by far the best situation. And apparently Kirk Cousins agrees, because he has come to terms with the Minnesota Vikings on a 3-year, $84 million contract that is 100% guaranteed every dollar and every cent. And more on that in a moment. Now, I imagine a lot of Minnesota Viking fans are not exactly giggly tits about this. They're not screaming "Skol" from the rooftops or from the snowbanks in Minnesota. And I understand it. Kirk Cousins is not a super sexy name. He was a guy that was once a 4th-round pick coming out of Michigan State. He was taken in the same draft as RG3. He was a guy that, even after 3 straight seasons of being the starter in Washington and at least showing himself as a solid NFL starter, they couldn't wait to move on from him. For God's sakes, they wanted Alex Smith more than they wanted to keep Kirk Cousins. So you're a Vikings fan, and you're saying this is a team that could be a Super Bowl contender, which they were in 2017, and could again potentially be in 2018. And you look at Kirk Cousins and you're like, man, I feel really bad about them paying him $28 million a season when I know he's not a super megastar. And you know what? You're absolutely right. On the interest of fairness, when Drew Brees hit the free agent market before the 2006 season, he was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He, in fact, was a former second-round pick out of Purdue who had a couple of good seasons late in his run in San Diego, but ultimately that came once Phillip Rivers was brought in after being taken with the 4th overall pick in that 2004 draft, that Eli Manning-Phillip Rivers trade. Drew Brees had the shoulder concern. Drew Brees had lost his job in San Diego ultimately. So we look back now and we say this was one of the truly great free agent signings of all time, and it most certainly was. But going into 2006, there was no guarantee of that. You didn't know, honestly, that Drew Brees was going to become the Drew Brees that we know, a Super Bowl champion, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. And if you say you did, you're being delusional. Now, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is Drew Brees. The point I'm getting at is sometimes we just don't know. And when you look at the Minnesota Vikings heading into 2018, could they really gamble on Case Keenum having a similar type of season in 2018 to what he did in 2017 with no real previous history indicating that that's the type of player that he was? No. And would you want to pay him a ton of money to take that gamble, to take that risk? Absolutely not. Are you going to give Sam Bradford a ton of money when you're not even sure he's going to be able to play in 2018? No. You let the Arizona Cardinals be the dumb dicks that give him $15 million guaranteed to suck. Are you going to sit there and hang on to former first-round pick Teddy Bridgewater? Well, can you really take that gamble, take that risk, take that chance, considering the situation the Vikings currently find themselves in? The answer is, unfortunately, no. So while Kirk Cousins is the biggest, sexiest name that you could think of, and he's not a superstar quarterback, he's not an elite quarterback, he is at least, if nothing else, a solid NFL starter. And better than any of the 3 options the Vikings had internally in 2017. And based off of that logic, it made sense for the Minnesota Vikings to go after him in free agency and ultimately give him big money in free agency. It did. It absolutely did. Is this necessarily going to put them over the hump? No, but it could. It might not, but it could. But they couldn't sit there and go into next season with the same group of quarterbacks and expect the result to be any different. They had to do something. But here's where we get to the real dicey thing when it comes to Kirk Cousins and his contract with the Minnesota Vikings. All you're going to hear about is he got 3 years, $84 million. It's 100% guaranteed, every single dollar of it. This is a game changer. This is something we haven't seen before in the NFL. They do these type of contracts in baseball. They do these type of contracts in the NBA, but they don't do them in the NFL. But Kirk Cousins got the first. Kirk Cousins, oh my God, look what he did. This is going to lead to more 100% guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks. It'll trickle to other players and lead to more 100% guaranteed contracts. And the Vikings are absolutely crazy to give him a 100% guaranteed contract, because if he gets hurt at all and can never play again, you got to pay him out every single dollar on that deal. And you're going to hear all about this, and I'm sure you already have, and you will continue to do so. And to me, this is an incredibly flawed narrative put out there by fans, and specifically entities within the sports media that really aren't looking at the bigger picture. Now, granted, $28 million a year for a non-superstar quarterback is incredibly expensive, and not a price that I particularly would be willing to pay. But it is the price the Minnesota Vikings had to pay to ensure that they got Kirk Cousins. But it all comes down to this whole thing about his deal being 100% guaranteed. And in reality, people are making a whole hell of a lot of a hullabaloo about not a lot. And I'm going to point to another contract, a massive contract that was recently done by a quarterback to kind of illustrate what I'm referencing here. And that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, who made all of 5 starts for the San Francisco 49ers in 2017. And in those 5 starts, 6 total games, he had 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those 5 starts. So he only had 1 more touchdown pass, then interception. Throw in the mop-up duty in Seattle, 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Yet everybody's praising him like the second coming of Jesus Christ. Everybody's talking about how San Francisco for sure 1,000% has found their franchise guy. He could potentially be an elite quarterback and all that other crap. And the simple truth of the matter is, maybe you've seen bits and flashes that he could, but there's not enough body of work there to indicate that he truly is. And when you look statistically at the body of work, it's really not that great and not that much different from Colin Kaepernick, and the numbers back that up. But the San Francisco 49ers did what they had to do, and they gave him a 5-year, $137.5 million contract, where you'll hear about the number of a little over $40 million guaranteed, and that could potentially be viewed as a team-friendly type of deal. But when you really look at those numbers, and we know in the NFL, never look at the big number. Never. You look at the guaranteed money and how long that's spread out and how much length there effectively is to the contract. And when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's deal, when you really look at it, he's got $37 million coming to him in 2018, $20 million coming to him in 2019, 2020, $26.6 million. Now, not all of those dollars are officially 100% guaranteed, but in reality, barring a career-ending injury, the 49ers are going to view this as a 3-year, $86.4 million contract. The intention is that you have Garoppolo at least locked up for the next 3 years, and then after that, you worry about it at that point in time. So, while not technically 100% legally, literally 100% guaranteed, Jimmy Garoppolo's 3 years is effectively 100% guaranteed, to the tune of $86.4 million when you factor in base salary, signing bonus being spread out, workout bonuses, roster bonuses, and all of that. That's what it is. It basically was a 3-year, $86.4 million contract. And we could throw all these hissy fits about Kirk Cousins getting a fully 100% guaranteed contract for $84 million over 3 years. But when we look at this effectively, Kirk Cousins is getting paid less than Jimmy Garoppolo. And Kirk Cousins has done far more to prove that he's worth that amount of money, even though he's not, than a Jimmy Garoppolo certainly has. You're talking about a Cousins who's made 48 consecutive starts over the past 3 seasons. Let's not forget that Garoppolo couldn't make it through 2 full starts in 2016 without getting injured. Talking about a Kirk Cousins that in 3 straight seasons has thrown for over 4,000 passing yards, 25 or more touchdowns in each of those seasons, and has an average completion percentage of 67%. 67%. I realize he's not a sexy name, and he's not a big-time megastar, but he is a solid to very solid NFL quarterback. And all of this fuss and all of this cuss, if you had sat there and done a 5-year, $137.5 million contract, or let's say because he had more time in the league, $140 million over 5 with Kirk Cousins, you'd still be talking about a technical guaranteed figure of about $65 million or so, maybe a little bit more. What would that translate to? About 3 years, $86 to $88 million, because that guaranteed money will mostly be spread out over the first 3 years of the deal, and you signed him to that long of a deal. You're going to keep him there about 3 years no matter what, because you can't just invest all this money into him after 1 year and then move on from him. That's just not realistic. That's just not the landscape of how things work. So we're focusing so much on this 100% guaranteed contract. When you look at Garoppolo's, he's realistically guaranteed $86.4 million over the next 3 years. He's getting more money than what Kirk Cousins ultimately would. If anything, you should look at the Minnesota Vikings and say this is a smart move. You invested big money in a guy that's not a superstar, yes, but you also gave 3 years of guaranteed money to a guy that has made every start the past 3 seasons. You've brought him into a really good situation where you will have less pressure on him, even with the big contract, because he has a really good defense. He has some skill talent. And Dalvin Cook, if he comes back from the knee injury, you've got Diggs and Thielen and Rudolph in terms of his skill players. An improved offensive line. I mean, this is night and day compared to the mess that he dealt with in Washington. And the Vikings got him for less over 3 years effectively than what the 49ers are going to pay Garoppolo. Who would you rather pay more money to if it's actually your money on the line? You're going to go with the more proven commodity and the more sure thing. And as a result, the way I look at it is they paid almost $3 million less over 3 years, a little under $1 million less per year, for a better quarterback. And right now, I don't care what you say, Kirk Cousins is better than Jimmy Garoppolo because Garoppolo hasn't even started a full season's worth of games. It is a very small, potentially misleading sample size. In another year or two, the conversation could change entirely. That is 100% correct. But right now, to say that Garoppolo is for sure better is just complete and utter delusional bullshit. And really, when you look at this deal for the Minnesota Vikings, instead of going through 5 years, $140 million, and trying to do all this and do all this cap dancing in a couple of years, they just cut out the bullshit. They kept it simple. We're going to pay you $28 million a year here or so, $28 million or so here, $28 million or so there. They kept it short, sweet, and to the point. It's really not that much different. All you get with these stupid long-term deals in the NFL now are those last couple of years where the cap number is incredibly prohibitive, or it gets to a point, if it's not incredibly prohibitive on the flip side, it's incredibly team-friendly, and these players at that point are demanding new deals and threatening holdouts. The Vikings had to make a 3-year commitment to Kirk Cousins. You can't just go in there and give him 1 year, $28 million. That's not how this is going to work. They had to give him 3 years, and they had to give him this much money. And to me, I think it's absolutely crazy that there's all this complaining about the deal being 100% guaranteed when so many of these quarterbacks that get their 5-6 year extensions, for all intents and purposes, the first 3 years are guaranteed any damn ways. And oftentimes at a bigger figure than what Kirk Cousins got from the Minnesota Vikings. So, if you're a Vikings fan, you might not like the move and you might have your reasons, and they could be valid. But the fact that he got 100% guaranteed money shouldn't be this incredible hang-up that it has been for so many people, because it is just an incredibly misleading narrative. And I hope by now I have kind of explained why that is so. The Vikings made the best deal for themselves that they possibly could, which was still a really good deal for Kirk Cousins. He got it all guaranteed. He knows he's there for 3 years, pretty much no matter what. He got paid a ton of money, and he goes to a great situation. That's all there is to it. Stop worrying about the 100% guaranteed money, because you could have done a Garoppolo type of deal and ended up paying him more over the next 3 years.